The pit that has killed 6 people and still hasn't given up its secret. Somewhere on a small, unremarkable island off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, there is a hole in the ground that has consumed more than 200 years of human obsession, millions of dollars, and at least 6 human lives. And to this day, no one knows for certain what, if anything, is actually buried inside it. This is the story of Oak Island and the money pit that refuses to give up its secret. And this is UNTOLDIA. The story begins in 1795 when a teenager named Daniel McGinnis, exploring Oak Island, a small, heavily forested island just off the coast of mainland Nova Scotia, noticed something unusual: a circular depression in the ground beneath an old oak tree with what appeared to be pulley marks on a nearby branch, almost as if something heavy had once been lowered into the ground at that exact spot. Curious and likely influenced by the era's widespread fascination with pirate treasure, McGinnis returned with 2 friends and they began digging. What they found almost immediately deepened the mystery rather than solving it. Roughly 10 feet down, they hit a layer of flat stones. Continuing to dig, at around every 10 feet, they reportedly encountered another layer, this time made of log platforms, deliberately placed, seemingly to reinforce the pit's structure, or perhaps to protect something hidden deeper within it. The teenagers, lacking the resources to continue much further on their own, eventually abandoned the excavation, but word of what they'd found spread, and what followed became one of the longest, most expensive treasure hunts in recorded history. In 1803, a more serious excavation effort began, this time backed by an organized company with actual funding and equipment. As diggers went deeper, the same pattern reportedly continued. Further log platforms roughly every 10 feet, some accounts describing layers of charcoal, clay, and even coconut fiber mixed in with the layers. A particularly strange detail given that coconut fiber isn't native anywhere near Nova Scotia, suggesting, if accurate, that whoever built this pit had access to materials from tropical regions thousands of miles away. At approximately 90 feet down, diggers reportedly hit a large flat stone, said to be inscribed with strange symbols or cipher-like text, though the original stone was later lost and its authenticity remains heavily disputed among historians today. Then came the discovery that would define Oak Island's reputation for the next 2 centuries. As excavators continued digging past this point, the pit suddenly flooded, seawater rushing in rapidly, overwhelming the excavation and forcing workers to abandon their efforts. This flooding wasn't a one-time accident. Over the following decades and centuries, nearly every serious excavation attempt at Oak Island encountered the exact same problem: uncontrollable flooding. Once diggers reached a certain depth, water rushing in from what appeared to be a deliberately engineered network of tunnels connecting the pit to the surrounding ocean. If true, this would mean that whoever originally built this pit centuries ago possessed truly extraordinary engineering capability, sophisticated enough to design flood tunnels specifically intended to prevent anyone from digging too deep without the proper knowledge of how to disable them. Over the following 2 centuries, wave after wave of treasure hunters, investors, and companies poured enormous amounts of money and increasingly advanced technology into excavating Oak Island, all chasing the same unanswered question: what exactly is down there, and who built this in the first place? Theories over the years have ranged wildly. Some believe it's the buried treasure of the infamous pirate Captain Kidd. Others propose far grander theories, that it could be hidden treasure connected to the Knights Templar, or even, in some of the more elaborate theories, lost manuscripts of William Shakespeare, or the vanished treasure of Marie Antoinette, smuggled out of France during the Revolution. None of these theories have ever been definitively proven. What has been proven, tragically, is the pit's cost in human life. Over the decades, at least 6 people have died during excavation attempts at Oak Island due to causes including flooding, structural collapses, and toxic gas exposure deep within excavated tunnels, giving the site a grim, almost cursed reputation among those who continue to pursue it. Despite the deaths, despite over 2 centuries of failed attempts, and despite millions of dollars spent by numerous investors, including reportedly members of extremely wealthy and prominent families over the decades, the excavation continues to this day, most notably documented in recent years through extensive television coverage, as modern teams, armed with advanced drilling technology, ground-penetrating radar, and specialized excavation equipment, continue the search. Modern investigations have uncovered intriguing findings over recent years, including pieces of wood dated to centuries-old timeframes, small fragments of metal, and other artifacts consistent with early human activity on the island. However, the core mystery, definitive proof of an original treasure, or definitive proof of exactly who constructed this elaborate pit in the first place, remains unsolved. It's worth noting, honestly, that a significant number of historians and geologists propose a far less dramatic explanation, that the original depression discovered in 1795 may have simply been a natural sinkhole, a geological formation common in certain limestone-based landscapes, and that much of what followed, the elaborate platforms, the flooding, the mysterious engineering, may have been amplified over decades of retelling, exaggeration, and the psychological effects of treasure hunting obsession itself, layered on top of what began as a much simpler, natural phenomenon. And yet, despite this entirely plausible, more mundane explanation, Oak Island continues to attract researchers, historians, and treasure hunters, generation after generation, refusing to let the mystery rest. So is there truly a treasure buried deep beneath Oak Island, protected by centuries-old engineering ingenious enough to still defeat modern excavation technology? Or is this simply one of history's most expensive, most tragic cases of collective obsession, built around a naturally occurring hole in the ground and centuries of stories told and retold until fiction and fact became almost impossible to separate? More than 200 years later, despite everything modern technology has thrown at it, Oak Island still hasn't given up its answer. If you enjoyed this story, let us know in the comments. Do you think there's really a treasure down there? Subscribe to UNTOLDIA for more stories history forgot to highlight. We'll see you in the next one.